Okay, I pulled the flask off, flipped it over. We're gonna pull the pattern board off. There we go. Now we have our negative image of our pattern. You can see some of these little bumps and edges on here. So what I'm going to do now is take, this is a big diamond wheel. So I'm just going to use this to sand this down lightly to get rid of some of these big nuggies. Now we're going to set it aside. And make the other side. Now, on the pattern board, you can see that it's offset to one side a little bit. And you can see there's a shadow of this guy right here and another set of holes. So what we have to do is we have to leave room for our system that we're gonna cut into the sand later to allow the metal to get into the mold, into the piece itself. So we need to leave room on one side of the mold for that. Now if I make two identical ones like this, and then I stand them up and put them together to make a core, they're gonna offset by, you can see this shadow here. They won't line up. They would be offset like this. We wanna get them lined up like that. So what I do is I pull this off, move it over, and I'll make two more, and then we'll have matching sides. A lot of steps to this and a lot of not knowing why stuff is happening, but it'll all come together in later videos. And by the way, I'm starting to post all this stuff onto my YouTube site, which is Greg Volker Music. It's music and it's more. All this other stuff I'm doing, I put on there as well. So go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Greg Volker Music. I'm gonna make a couple more of these and we'll be back to make a core. Hey everyone, another little detail I forgot, which is gonna come back to bite me, is a way to pick these blocks up easy. With my gantry crane here, I can pretty much do this by myself except for one step, which we'll be doing tomorrow. As long as I remember to do this freaking step, and that is to add these pieces of conduit so that I can stick a bar through there later and lift it with my gantry. So I forgot to do that on the other ones, so it's going to be a bit of a beast, but these aren't too big, so it shouldn't be too bad. Now I'm going to cover the rest of this with sand, and at least I'll have one I can pick up easier. All right, just a quickie here. We're going to open up this vent mold so you can see what that's about. All right, there it is, and see light through there. So we'll cut these in lengths and stack them on top of the mold where the vents come out. There'll be 2 or 3 of them. We'll get to that later. All right, everyone, here we are. Next step is going to be to grind the 2 halves of the mold to make sure that if there's any bow or it's not completely flat or warped plane on the surface of the molds, that they are completely flush with each other and in contact. That way no metal will squirt out the sides. So we're going to get a little Egyptian here and grind these blocks. My buddy Steven is here to help me out. Many of you may recognize him. Let me move this here. I don't know why I put it back.
Building pyramid.
Building a Roman column. See how we did.
So you gotta tell them what we're doing?
Yeah. So now I'm looking just to make sure that the whole surface has been ground, and maybe just a little bit on these corners, but as long as it's flat in like this kind of area, we're totally golden, so we don't have to do that again. We're done. So now I'm gonna vacuum clean this out really good, put it together and stand it up with the other one so we can pour in the core sand, which I'll be showing you shortly as well. All right, so let's vacuum this out. Okay, now we are going to band this to hold it together so when we stand it upright, it won't fall apart. Disconnect here for a minute. So now you can see we have the mold with a big hole in it, which is where the pattern was on the pattern board. Stephen, the pattern board is leaning against that plywood over there. Will you just set it up there for me? So now the job is to fill this cavity with sand again. And then we're going to open it up, and then we'll have basically a positive. Yeah, so you can see this guy right here. If you look at it from the end, that's what we're looking down at. 2 of those back to back here. So we're gonna fill that with sand. I'm gonna do that maybe later tonight. So we'll get to that next. Okay, we are ready to pour our sand in and make our cores. So a couple steps, a couple things involved in that. We have this cavity here now we need to fill with sand. And on the pattern board, you can see that there is a significant weak point in this mold. The bane of my existence for all these pieces, and that is here on the neck where the head is very narrow. So to be able to get this whole thing out of the mold as a solid core, I need some structure in there, so I use some all thread. The all thread will go down through the middle like this. The other thing you'll see here is this notch. This is called core pin, or a lot of different names for it, but this is to help keep the core centered in the middle of the two blocks once it's all shaved down, and to lock it in place so it won't twist and turn or move or slide around. And there's a few different tricks to that, which we will show you when we reassemble the mold and when we're carving the core. So for now, I'm going to put the phone on the tripod here. We'll start mixing some sand, and then we'll start mixing a little bit, and then we'll put this all thread in like rebar, basically just adding some structure to it. And then because it's a long narrow channel in there, I use some dowels to get in here and ram the sand down in there. And you just have to be careful I don't scrape the sides, because that will leave marks that will show up. You know, different sized dowels help me get around the core. So that's what I'll be doing. I mix a little sand. A lot of people will add sawdust or do different things with their cores to have them a little softer, so that when the metal shrinks around it, the metal won't crack. It allows the metal to shrink around the core when the metal's in there. I don't do that just because I need it really hard so I get some accurate carving done in there. When I put the sawdust in and you hit a big chunk of the sawdust, pulls out a big spot, leaves a big gap. But I will show you what all that's about when we get to shaving the cores down. So I'm going to get you on the tripod now and mix some sand. And tomorrow we will start working on the core, shaving the core.